This project aims to present a solution that can help in maintaining the Arabic cultural identity and its language, as well as promoting Arabic arts and letters among the youth. This is كنوز العرب. إن للعرب كنوز وزين الكلام سره في جمال لغة الضاد. كنوز العرب منبرا افتراضيا للشباب العربي، نسلط الأضواء عليكم فأنتم جواهرنا، وننشر أشعاركم وإبداعاتكم فهي هوانا، نستضيفكم لحضور لقاءاتنا والاستمتاع بزين الكلام. We're going to examine the justifications behind Kunouz al-Arab. Starting off with the role of language in the formation of culture and identity, we'll go back in time to the evolution of the Arabic language, how contemporary Arabic language faces its challenges, what is the connection between the Arabic language, culture, and its youth, globalization's impact on the Arabian youth, what are the initiatives that helped in strengthening the Arabic language, strategic plan and solution rationale of Kunouz al-Arab, and profoundly go through the brand's identity and platform. We'll look at the Instagram insights and conclude the presentation with a quote from Sheikh Zayed al-Nahyan. The role of language in the formation of culture and identity is very important. They have an interlinked relationship. Culture influences an individual's personality, common values, customs, and origin of a particular culture have a strong influence on behavior, views, and thinking of an individual. Language is considered an essential key that bonds and unites culture and identity. If we identify language as a form of expression and communication, then culture is the content of this communication, where it personalizes and contextualizes that language. Going back to the 19th and 20th century, the Arabic language became the expression of specific Arabic identity to distinguish itself from the people of the Ottoman Empire. The Arab linguistic response called for the revitalization of the Arabic language and its adoption as the primary language for education and administration in all the Arab-speaking nations of the Ottoman Empire. The Arabic language assumed the symbol of Arab identity for all Arabic countries from the Middle East to North Africa. It did not only challenge colonial languages such as English, French, and Turkish, but it also sought to eliminate local Arabic dialects and non-Arabic languages. Until today, we see this language in its formal written form, uniting the MENA region as the official native language, but unfortunately it does not reflect on the Arabian youth just as much. Contemporary Arabic language and its challenges. The Arabic language developed in a linguistic phenomena known as diglossia, which entails the use of two different varieties of the same language depending on the social circumstance. For instance, colloquial Arabic is also known as the dialect, is mainly used in homes or various informal setups. On the other hand, modern Standard Arabic is mostly used in formal circumstances and functions such as politics, government, media, and educational institutions, whereas the Classical Arabic is used mainly in the Quran and Islamic worship. The first challenge that the Arabic language faced was the structural gap between the mother tongue language and the former language of education. As for the second challenge, it's political. Many modern Arab countries tend to exhibit varied views on large portions of their local history, identity, and culture, which affected their practiced language and, of course, their culture. On another level, some Arabic nations with many non-Arabic speaking minorities, such as Algeria, Morocco, Iraq, and Sudan, they did not share united views when non-Arabic vernaculars are concerned. Some consider them as part of their national heritage, while others disagree. Later on, the Arabization policy was formed. It referred to the process of growing Arabic influence on non-Arabic communities to fortify the language. The Arabic language, culture, and the youth. The deteriorating quality of Arabic education in schools, due to its various diglossic nature, has only enhanced the threat posed to it by foreign languages such as English. Standard Arabic is not used in daily speech in most of the MENA region. Among the youth, English has replaced the Standard Arabic as the commonly used language both in written and spoken forms. Meanwhile, English has become the dominant daily language of communication as well as various learning institutions. English replaced Arabic in all the educational systems and became a universal language for science, business, technology, and international relations. Most importantly, it's the dominant language of the Internet, a critical element of the 21st century global interaction, specifically for the youth. Global dominance of English has come at the cost of local languages such as the Arab vernaculars. There are fears that global languages cultivate monolingual linguistic class that is more complacent and dismissive in attitude towards other languages. More significantly, global languages are feared to reduce the chances of learning local languages. According to Al-Husri, who is a scholar and an active Arab nationalist, language plays a crucial role in the formation of nation and its cultural identity. He claims language constitutes a holding tank in which a people's heritage, history, literary work, poetry, music, and songs are maintained and passed down from the older generation to the younger. Therefore, a language in the understanding of Al-Husri is more valuable than territory and a crucial factor in ensuring cultural continuity among the youth. The impact of globalization on the Arab youth culture. Globalization results in various forms of cultural hybridity. In the Arab world, hybridity fuels intergenerational conflict since it deforms the transmission of cultural values. Consequently, the Arab nation is experiencing a cultural change to the level that the youth are not being influenced by the older generation. Instead, the youth are under great exposure to foreign cultural appeal. The traditional Arab thinkers and socialists argued that globalization is merely cultural imperialism purposefully designed to impose Western ideology and deprive the Arabic culture of its identity. Moreover, globalization is affecting other cultures' right to preserve their native traditions, values, and beliefs. Globalization and technology have played a leading role in transforming the culture and identity of the Arab youth. For instance, Arab youth are currently avid users of social media, where it's mostly used in English at the expense of their Arabic language. Initiatives in strengthening the Arabic language. To evade the diminishing of the Arabic language among the MENA region, various nations have come up with ways of managing the impact of globalization and its adverse impacts on the Arabic language. These strategies are continuously evolving. For example, we have the policy interventions. The initial efforts have focused on the management of the linguistic identity by encouraging the teaching of the Arabic language in schools and encouraging the youth to be more passionate about their mother tongue language. In the year 2008, for instance, the United Arab Emirates confirmed the Arabic language as the official language for use in all its government and federal departments as well as offices to keep and maintain their cultural identity. Similarly, the state of Saudi Arabia in its Vision 2030 has highlighted the value of Arabic as a requirement for maintaining its national values and principles. Arabic Language Day. The United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO in 1973 adopted Arabic as the sixth official language of the organization, in recognition of the Arabic language as a pillar of cultural diversity. The World Arabic Day is celebrated annually on December 18th since 2012. The Arabic Language Report. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum launched the Status Report and the Future of the Arabic Language. The findings of the report indicated the need for more of Arabic academic texts to bridge the established in the gap that only 10% of academic publications under scientific discipline was published in the Arabic language across the Arab nation. One of the reasons to this is that most researchers lack existing materials published in Arabic to build on during their study. لغتي Educational Center. The institution specializes in teaching and enhancing Arabic to natives and foreign speakers of other languages. It was founded in 2012 in Doha. The vision is to become an example of the Arabic International Language Center in the Arab region for its quality of learning, practices, and the variety of inactive programs that contribute to successful language learning. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum started the Arab Reading Challenge as a literacy initiative to encourage students to read. Specifically, it challenges students to read as many Arab books as possible in one academic year. The participating students are drawn from year 1 to 12 in all the Arab world schools. It takes place annually in September, and the winner goes home with monetary value incentive. Individual and communal initiatives. Independent initiatives launched by motivated individuals and communal groups within their Arab countries continue to be generated in order to help spread the appreciation for the language and its cultural significance among the youth. One specific form of linguistic expression that is historically celebrated, culturally rooted, and highly respected is poetry. Today, we see initiatives such as Arabic literature, Poetry Yard, Rawashin, Millions Poet, Al-Diwan, Diwan Al-Arab, and many more. These initiatives have a thriving engagement on their websites or Instagram platforms. But there are not enough initiatives that are genuinely generated by the youth for the youth. One such initiative would be our proposed Kunouz Al-Arab. Kunouz Al-Arab Strategic Plan. At first, we're going to highlight the problem, which is the appreciation of the Arabic language by the youth. The lack of cultural relevance between the Arab youth and their mother tongue language, Arabic, leads to the decreasing use of the language among them. Kunouz's objective is to raise awareness and appreciation of the Arabic language to the audience, that the language can be as relevant, current, and expressive as they need it to be. Kunouz is targeting males and females from the age of 18 to 25 years all across the MENA region. We're choosing the youth as this is where change is mostly effective. As for the audience psychographs, we're looking for people who enjoy arts, history, and culture and see social media as a reliable source for communication, news, music, as well as entertainment. Kunouz's compelling benefit is to prove to the audience that the meaningful Arabic messages and reciting poems can be delivered in relatable formats across their preferred platforms in an entertaining way, where they can engage. Kunouz Al-Arab Solution Rationale. Kunouz Al-Arab is an initiative that aims to keep the Arabs' legacy alive. Through this initiative, we're focusing on building and strengthening the relationship between the Arab youth and appreciating their native language in both forms, spoken and written. This vision is genuinely and totally generated by the youth for the youth. In order to effectively strengthen this relationship between the Arabic language and our young audience, we aim to make the youth experience the language on a more personal level, using a more expressive method through a more relevant platform. This is an initiative that is designed to be sustainable with renewing content and sharing talents. Kunouz Al-Arab's brand identity, the naming and the logo. The name captures the invaluable impact that poetry has left on the Arabian cultures throughout history. It also highlights the respect and appreciation we still hold for this refined art. The name is also dedicated to our nation's present treasures found in the youth and their talents. As for the logo, it's Kunouz Al-Arab in Arabic typography. The brand's signature uses the brassy color to denote an old treasure box, where codes must be decrypted and locks must be opened to uncover the wealth of meanings and expressions, exactly like when reading and savoring a poem. The words are written in the square cubic style as a salute to the rich history of poetry. Square cubic is known for its geometric basics that proves to be intriguing with its complex compositions and formats. The calligraphic style requires craftsmanship and aesthetic taste, even though it starts from a simple square. Similarly, poetry starts with the simple letters and words to build beautiful, endless meanings. The two words selected for the slogan literally describes how poetry relates to the Arabic language. Zain al-Kalam, which translates the most beautiful wording. For the Arabs in particular, poetry is the purest, strongest, most appealing and effective form of linguistic expression and communication. As for the typefaces, we're using two different typefaces for the posts. The first typeface is used in all the main communications. As for the second one, it's used for all testimonials, quotes, and text highlights. The color palette is extensive and used equally across our executions. The warm tones denote the passionate Arabian pride and their deep connection to the desert, which shows the emotional expressions involved in poetry. As for the green tones, they denote creativity, productivity, and prosperity, a color deeply rooted in Arabian cultures. Kunouz Al Arab's brand platform. Due to the social media statistics, the main initiative is by starting an Instagram page with a very unique and non-ordinary expressive stage for young Arab youth. The platform is established for young expressive poets from the MENA region, initiating from the UAE. Also, it works as a promoter for the poets, where we shed light on the young talented youth. In addition, a social media poets competition will be generated to keep the youth engaged in the beauty of the Arabic language and Arab's treasures. The brand identifies 5 main sections: Our Treasure, Beautiful Wording, Contributions, Live Streaming, and Our Jewels. These divisions are actively updated with content. The first section would be Our Treasure. It explains the initiative, its purpose, and credits the founder, the academics supervising the project, as well as its sponsor, which is the Canadian University of Dubai. In this section, Your Contributions, we invite the contributors and explain the instruction for those interested to submit their work directly to the platform via direct messaging. This section will display the poetry videos submitted by the participants. Our Jewels. Since Arab Treasures is our brand, then each poet is a gem. This section introduces the young talents, gives a brief bio on the artist, and displays a quote from the artist. Beautiful Wordings. This section shares the full poems of the young talents, where interested audience can directly access and share the poems in typed format. In the live streaming section, which is the last section, we announce and promote future live events. Videos of the live streaming are then saved to the platform's IGTV. Kunouz Al Arab's Instagram Insights for the month of June 2020. As you can see from the promotion insights, our audience age range is from 18 to 65 and above, but the main criteria is from 18 to 34 years old. As for the audience gender, 82% are men and 18% are women. As for the audience top location within the UAE, our top locations is Dubai, which is 35% of our followers, and Abu Dhabi, 32% of our followers. As you can see here, we wanted to calculate the highest reach and impression per post. For example, the picture on the top left got 490 reach and 568 impressions. Last but not least, this is the positive feedback that we got from the audience throughout the comments. The Arabic language is the heart of the national identity and its protecting shield, the soul of our nation, the essence of its origins, and the vessels for its ideology and heritage. Sheikh Zayed Al Nahyan. The role of the language is essential not only for communication but for the foundation of culture. Together, language and culture work to form a healthy sense of individual as well as communal identity. When language is threatened, the whole culture is altered and this sense of identity gets blurry. While the Arabic language remains resilient due to religion, policies, and various initiatives, more efforts are needed to focus on the youth who have been detaching from the language. Enforcing the use of language will not be effective, however, until the language can relate to the hearts and minds of its speakers. This is where Kunouz al Arab proposes to make the youth experience the language on a more personal level using a more expressive method through a more relevant platform. لغتنا هويتنا وأشعارها هوانا. Our language is our identity and its poetry is our passion. كنوز العرب.